mate. Clint Anderson here from Down Under Horsemanship. Well, today we've got an exciting show. We're here at the famous Silver Spurs Ranch in Scottsdale, Arizona. Titan's been a part of my family from the time he was born. Ultimately, I felt like for Titan's best chance to be a truly great sire, we knew he was a great performer. We knew he was going to be great in the show pen. We knew he had the talent. You've all been following him his entire career. But he has to pass the next barrier now, which is the breeding barrier. Well, I knew there was no better place in the country to do it other than Silver Spurs. So to me, I had a great stallion and now a great stallion manager. And you put those two together, and I think there's no stopping Titan. That's how I feel.
Silver Spurs was started in 2005 with two main objectives. One was to make the American horseman's equine dreams come true by breeding that special horse, a horse that speaks to your soul. Our second objective was to provide a one-stop shop where every breeder could come and find the stallion that they wanted to breed to their mares. Only the finest bloodlines are here at Silver Spurs. Titan is so important for our breeding program because we always boast that we have the very best of the best at Silver Spurs. And after I saw Titan, I knew I couldn't say that anymore unless I owned him.
Michael came to me and expressed some interest in possibly, partnering with Titan and getting involved with him. I'm not surprised because Michael Maiola is obsessed with quality. He wants the very best studs to be able to stand to the public.
Here we are in our Weanling Barn. This is a very special place because these are the horses that are going to be the future of our breed.
Michael, how are you, mate? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Welcome to Silver Spurs.
Well, thank you for the invite, mate. Thank you.
My pleasure. Clinton, I'd like to introduce you to the manager of Silver Spurs Equine, the fellow that makes it all happen, Brett Stone.
Brett, pleasure to meet you, mate.
Clinton, it's a pleasure to finally meet you.
When you won the futurity in 1992 on Boomernick, it was just absolutely amazing. I remember as a teenager, I must have watched that winning run of yours 10,000 times. It was
Special night.
It was.
Special night,
that run changed reining for 20 years. The way the horses were collected and the way they worked off their rear end and the athletic ability, and it's just good to meet you in person.
Yeah, well, that was a special night, and I'm glad you're here.
Well, good deal. So, Brett, what do you have in store for me, mate?
Well, I picked a couple of them out to show you, so, a variety. So
very good. Let's go have a look at a couple of babies.
Now, these horses have been bred by all of our stallions and out of our special hand-picked mares, and they've been bred for a very specific purpose.
Clinton, this is the first one I want to show you here.
Yeah. And how's this one bred, mate?
This one's by Platinum Vintage, which is one of our young up-and-coming stallions in the breeding field, but in the show arena, he's well known all over.
I remember Andrea showing that horse. He won quite a bit, and very, very talented, athletic horse, drop dead gorgeous. What kind of man's he out of?
He's out of a daughter of Hollywood Jack, and that's why I like him so well, because he really brings back the foundation for us to the industry and the bone on the horse and some substance.
So did this one's mother win in it?
The mother's is a mare named Custom Mahogany, who's by Custom Chrome, and she was second at the NRHA Futurity, I believe, in 1999.
Yep.
Won 200,000, and she's well known also through the industry.
Okay.
And we breed for specifics here. So this one here we bred to be a level 4 open horse, and you can tell by his conformation.
When somebody comes here to Silver Spurs to look at the stallions or potentially buy a horse, how many do they have to choose from? Like, how many babies on average do you breed a year here?
Well, I think this year coming up we're going to have 120, and I think our weanling crop is about also 120.
Okay, so there's a lot of horses that they can pick from.
All different varieties of all the stallions and all the different mares. Although we try to keep all the mares built the same in the stallions. They all do, we have some different colors horses, which you've seen some of them already.
Yep.
And that, so But we do breed for specific. So, you know, with all the industry changing, you know, from the reining events to the pleasure riding events, you know, I mean, we try to stay where we can, you know, have one for everybody that comes to the ranch. Yeah.
Right, mate. Do you have another one you'd like to show me?
I do. Let me show you another one. It's by SG Frozen Enterprise.
Over the years, we have searched for mares that complement our stallion's attributes, so that when we breed, we try to improve on that stallion. And the result has been marvelous. When we do our breeding, you're assured that you're going to get a horse that was bred for a specific purpose with a specific mare that's going to improve on the talents of that stallion.
So Brett, what's this one, mate?
This is an SG Frozen Enterprise. Most people know him as Iceman.
Yep.
And this one's out of a mare named Cholina Checks. And Cholina Checks is by New Checks to Cash, and out of a mare name that you used to own named Lido Boom.
Ah, I remember that mare. Yeah, a long time ago.
Lido Boom, you know, she won a bunch of stuff back then, and you know, we were pretty excited when you wanted to sell her.
Yeah.
So anyway,
funny.
the mother to this one, you know, she came and had Cholina Checks, and we took her and we were going to keep her because she was so foundation bred and that. So, and this is what we tried to breed here for the ranch versatility classes.
Okay,
and,
so that's when if people aren't interested in just reining, they want another event.
Correct.
You're breeding horses for a variety of different disciplines.
Correct. You know, you look at the withers on this one, the neck on this one, and the color and the feet. So if you look at it, you think, you know, you could rope on it, and it may end up being a reining horse, but you can darn sure do all the other events.
Well, out of 120 foals, people have got quite a bit to choose from.
That they do.
Here are our pastures where our babies grow up with their moms. Now, as you can see, these pastures are made of dirt instead of grass, but we keep the dirt very, very soft. We turn it over every other day so it's nice and soft on their feet. After our weanlings are weaned from their mom, they are halter trained so that we can put them on our trailer and ship them to our other facility in Purcell, Oklahoma, extra quarter horses. Now, this is a 750-acre ranch with huge green pastures, and that's where our babies actually grow up. We ship them there as soon as they're weaned so that they could get the benefit of eating on fresh grass instead of hay and grow up naturally.
One of the things that makes Silver Spurs truly unique than any other place in the country is that it's kind of like a one-stop shop, to be honest. You can come here and get your mare bred to any one of the world-renowned stallions he's got. I want it to be Titan, but I'm biased, okay? But you can get your mare bred. But he also has some of the best reining and cow horse broodmares in the country as well. So you can come here and buy a weanling, you can buy a yearling, you can buy a 2-year-old, okay? So it's kind of like you can pick out a stallion and breed your mare, or you can pick out a stallion, and I'm sure he's got a mare that matches the bloodlines that you're looking for. Remember, genetics play a huge part in this. Without the genetics, you have very little chance of succeeding with the performance that you're wanting to do with your horse. So come to Silver Spurs, weanlings, yearlings, 2-year-olds. Okay, I've been looking at some horses while I've been out here, and I've got one I got my eye on. I don't know if Michael will sell it to me, but there's one in particular that I'm going to buy. I want to buy here. Don't tell him that. Righto, mate. What's the next destination?
You know what? I think that Michael's expecting you in the lab.
Well, we'll head that direction.
All righty.
At Silver Spurs, we have the most modern semen processing equipment in the industry. As a matter of fact, the computer program that we use to determine the motility, the concentration, and the velocity of the semen is all done by a computer program that was originally designed for humans. And we had it modified ourselves to handle those same calculations for equine semen. So it's the most modern in the world. As a matter of fact, from the very point of collection right through packaging, everything is 100% computer controlled. So that when you get a breeding from a Silver Spurs stallion shipped to you, you know that that semen has been tested and is in the proper amount to impregnate a mare on the very first shot. In addition to having the proper concentration of semen in a dose of semen that we ship out, the velocity of that semen is very, very important, because if it's not moving fast enough, it's going to die before it gets through the uterus and into the oviduct to fertilize that egg. So we monitor that as well. In addition to that, we also have fertility testing equipment in our lab, where not only can we tell that there's the right amount of semen, but that it's viable semen. Our equipment determines whether or not the semen is viable to impregnate a mare. And if it goes below a certain point, we don't ship that semen. Well, the first thing we do is we have to collect the stallion. Now, we do not do live cover, meaning we do not have a stallion actually mount a mare. And that's done for several reasons. Number one, both the stallions and the mares are very valuable. So we don't want a mare kicking a stallion, and we don't want a stallion biting down on a mare while he's mounted the mare, because we don't want them to get hurt. The third reason is the amount of semen in a normal ejaculate of a stallion can impregnate on average about 15 mares. So we don't want all of that to go to waste. So from the point of collection, we then process the semen, where we put it in what we call an extender. And this is prolongs the life of the semen. Once we've extended the semen, we then analyze it for its concentration, motility, and velocity, and viability. And once that's done, another computer program based on that information will determine the proper dose to impregnate a mare. When we're shipping semen that's going to be delivered within 24 hours, and that's in the continental US and Canada, we ship cooled semen, meaning we will just cool it down to 5 degrees centigrade and in a special cooling box and ship that semen Federal Express. When we're shipping semen, let's say to Australia or Europe or South America, because it has to go through customs, it's going to take several days for that semen to reach its final destination. When we're shipping semen to those locations, we actually freeze the semen. And that's a fairly involved process. Again, all computer controlled, where we freeze the semen on a freezing curve that is optimum for that particular stallion to get it frozen. That's how we do what we do here. It's a lot of science and a lot of love, because that's our stallion, and every box that goes out has our reputation on it. So we make sure it's perfect. Over the years, the past 14 years, we've acquired 37 breeding stallions in all disciplines. So there's a horse for everyone at Silver Spurs. Clinton, you are really going to enjoy this part of the tour.
This is your favorite part of the day.
This is my favorite part of the whole ranch.
So Michael, why is this the most fun part of the ranch? Why is this your favorite part?
Well, behind those doors, Clinton, are the most famous reining horse stallions in the world, and I'm going to show you Titan's new home.
I'm going to be looking forward to it, that's for sure. That's why I came out here.
You bet. Here is the world famous Spook's Got a Gun. He's loved by everyone all over the world.
So Michael, what is this horse, mate?
Well, this is a horse you know very well, Clinton. Come on. This is the world famous Spook's Got a Gun.
I bred 2 mares to him this year. I
Yep.
love this horse. He has produced some outstanding champions.
He has, and he just crossed the $2 million mark about a month ago. He's at
Yep.
about $2,100,000.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. He's sired so many champions, I can't even name them all.
Yes, that's exactly right. He's been around a long time. He's extremely pretty. I remember him as a show horse, and I bred a couple of my best mares to him this year as well.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Spooks has sired so many champions, I can't even name them all. His offspring has won over 2 million in competition. You know, when people photograph horses, they usually do a horse and rider, but when Spooks is making the cover, they just want to see that face.
He's very charismatic.
Oh, isn't he though?
Very good, very good. Righto, what else you got in that barn, mate?
Well, I'm going to show you a finished Silver Spurs performance horse. Wait till you see this one.
Very good. I'll wait right here.
Here's one of our finished Silver Spurs performance horses. His name is, we call him Pal. So here's one of our finished Silver Spurs performance horses.
So what's his name?
His name is Extra New Pal Voodoo. He was sired by our stallion, Extra Voodoo's doctor.
Right.
They put a lot of name in this horse. We just call him Pal.
So what was his show career like, Michael?
Well, we originally bred Pal to be a non-pro horse.
Yes.
And he was so good in training that our trainer said we have to show him professionally.
Yep.
And we took him to the NRHA Futurity, and he came in 4th. And then we took him to the Breeders' Classic, and he finished in the top 10.
That's very good.
So he did. So he's one of the examples of when we breed for a specific purpose. Sometimes they don't always do what you bred them for.
Yeah.
So he was a little better than we had
Look at the
anticipated.
mane on this horse.
Isn't he beautiful?
He's not going bald anytime soon. I'm going bald every year, but he's
For sure.
certainly not.
Well, you know, when he goes in the show pen, we get an extra point or two just for the mane.
That's great.
Because they appreciate what it takes to get a mane like
a
that.
lot of grooming goes
Yep.
into this horse.
But now he's going to be performing as a non-pro horse,
Okay.
as he was intended to. He's so beautiful. I think he's one of the most beautiful Palominos I've ever seen in my life. With Pal, you could see the type of training we put into a horse. This horse can do anything. He was bred by our sire, Shiner's Voodoo Doctor, and he's one of his first sons. And we bred him to a nice, quiet mare so that a non-professional rider can actually get in the arena and concentrate on his or her pattern without worrying about the horse, because the horse is going to do its job. So they can concentrate on themselves and get through that pattern nice and easy with a horse that knows exactly what it's doing. Here's the world famous Platinum Vintage. He was a National Reining Horse Association Derby champion. He's won over 280,000 in competition. We started his breeding career last year. His first foals are going to come on the ground this spring, and everybody is dying to see what they're going to look like. He's a favorite in the show pen, and you could see from his coloring, he's bred by his sire. He's the son of one of our other sires, a Sparkling Vintage. So we bred him to breed champions that we create as opposed to purchase. And he's a prime example of how we breed our stallions to create champions. There's a horse that is my personal horse. His name is Finest China Rose. I've owned him since he was a yearling, and we trained him to be a trail horse. Naturally, we give all of our horses reining training because that really perfects the partnership between the horse and rider. So all of our horses, whether they're barrel or any other discipline with the exception of racing, gets training in the sport of reining so that they get to understand their rider's cues and that sort of thing. But China and I have been together for so many years. Until recently, I used to ride him bareback with no bridle, no saddle. Just grab that long, majestic mane of his and off we'd go. One time I did fall off. It wasn't China's fault, of course, because every time he felt me going off center, he would just stop, let me right myself, and we'd be off again. But he stepped in a gopher hole and kind of jumped a little, and I fell off. And you know, at my age, I don't jump as good as I used to, and I couldn't get back on him. Try as I might, I just couldn't do it. So China, seeing my predicament, just goes down on his front knees for me. No prodding from me, just goes down on his front knees, and I jump on his back, and we were off again. Now I ride him in a saddle. Here's Einstein's revolution. He's another very famous stallion in the world of reining. He's one of the highest money-earning stallions in the sport of reining. Einstein's revolution has won $358,000 in competition. Again, he's sired many, many champions, and his offspring has also won over $2 million in competition. Here's Big Checks to Cash. This is a very beautiful stallion, very famous stallion. He's a golden Dapple Palomino. You don't see many colored like him. He won over $220,000 in competition, and his offspring has won over $1 million in competition. He's so famous that the Breyer horse people made a model of Big Checks to Cash, and it's one of the most popular in their collection. All of the horses that I'm showing you, I want to point out, are all stallions. These are not geldings. These are professional show horses and breeding stallions. Now, and most people have this impression that a stallion is a very vicious and wild animal. And maybe some are, but ours are not. As you can plainly see, they're as docile as puppy dogs. And there's a reason for that. We socialize our stallions. You could see from the way we designed the stalls that all of the stallions can see each other. And in the beginning, they may try to establish a pecking order, but once they're done, they're friends and they stay calm, because horses are very social animals. And you take that away from them and you get the same effect as if you kept a human being in solitary confinement. So our stallions go out all the time. They could see each other all day, talk to each other all day. And this is the result, a very, very docile stallion. It's a shame. I've seen other stallion barns where the stallions are in these concrete stalls with very small windows. They can't really see out and that sort of thing. And it's a shame, because those stallions, just like mine, were champions in the show pen, and because they were so good, they're sentenced to a life of solitary confinement. We just don't do that here. And one other thing that you'll see, or you should notice, is these stallions are very intelligent. They have great minds, and they pass those great minds off to their offspring, so that people could be confident that when they're breeding to a Silver Spurs stallion, that they're going to get a very intelligent, calm horse.
One of the things that was really important to me when Michael and I were putting our partnership together with Titan is I wanted to know where he was going to live. I wanted to make sure he was going to be happy. I wanted to make sure he was safe. I really cared about this horse's well-being, you know. And so I made a special trip out here to Silver Spurs before we, signed the contracts. And I was very impressed of where he was going to live, how the horses get lots of socialization, they get turned out every day. He's got a swimming pool for the horses, he's got a spa for the horses, he's got exercises for them. So a lot of stallion stations just kind of lock those studs up in a small stall, and they're kind of like a jail cell, and that's where they live. I wasn't interested in that. I don't care how much money was on the line. I wasn't going to do that to Titan. He's been part of my family, and it'd be like selling your brother or sister. You just don't send him to a dungeon, okay? So when I came out here, I saw where Titan was going to live. I saw how they took care of the rest of their stallions. It was a done deal at that point. I never forget this. Ian Francis, my mentor from Australia, I have the highest respect for him. When he first came over and he rode Titan, he saw me ride him and he rode him himself. He said to me, I never forget this, just before he boarded the plane to go back to Australia, he turned around and looked at me and he said, you take real good care of that horse. And I said, which one? He said, Titan. And he said, that horse is special. He said, every trainer in their life gets one, maybe two truly great horses. He said, that's your great one. In fact, he's an exceptional one. He said, they don't come along very often, Clinton, so treat him good, take good care of him, feed him right, and get a little bit of luck on your side. But he said, that's your one great horse. And that meant a lot to me because Ian's ridden thousands of horses and has had so many champions in his barn. He knows what a champion feels like and looks like, and he knew Titan was going to be that. I knew it too, but I suppose it just meant more to me coming from him, from the vast knowledge that he had about horses.
Well, Clinton, look who I brought for you.
Well, good boy. Hey, how you been, hey? You're feeling ornery this morning, aren't you?
Oh yeah, he's ready to breed.
Man, he looks good, Michael.
Doesn't he look terrific?
Hey, he looks really good.
When I saw him compete at the Cactus Classic, a horse that was just shown for the very first time as a 5-year-old, competing with horses that had competed for at least 2 years before, and he crushed them.
Yes.
I said, this horse is really special. And then when you brought him to the Breeders' Classic, and he hits Reserve Championship, I knew that this horse was very special and was going to be one of the best breeding horses in the business.
Well, thank you for your support. And that Cactus Classic, I knew that horse could do that. When he came out and stopped like that, turned like that, he was just an athlete. He said, look at me.
Yep.
Didn't he? When he came out there was just power about the way that he galloped to his stops and the pure aggressiveness that he attacked the ground.
Yep. And the judges loved it, giving him a 234.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic.
Well, good boy.
I'm
very
boy.
happy, Michael, that he's in his new home, and I know that you're going to excel his breeding career. I handled the training, and Andrea did, and the development. Your job's to take over now and make him a superstar in the breeding barn. I think he will.
I think he will too, and I think that the two of us managing him closely will be a match made in heaven, and we're going to make reigning history with this guy.
Absolutely, mate.
When I saw Titan compete at the Cactus Classic last year, I knew this was a very special horse and that he had to come to Silver Spurs. Fortunately, Clinton also wanted Titan to stand at the best stallion barn in the world, so naturally he picked Silver Spurs. And we became partners on Titan, and it's a match made in heaven. Titan is by one of the world's most famous stallions, Gunner. And we have the definitive Gunner line, and Titan is now the crowning glory of our Gunner stallions. He is a double registered AQHA, that's American Quarter Horse Association and American Paint Horse Association registered stallion. In his first competition, he scored a 234, his very first time. When I saw that, when he was competing with experienced horses as a 5-year-old, when these other horses he was competing against started their competitive careers as 3-year-olds, I saw that this horse had what it takes to be a fabulous competition horse. And with his breeding, out of being by Gunner and out of the fabulous producing mare Princess and Diamonds, I knew we had a breeding horse on our hands. And then to follow it up in the competition world, he went to the Breeders' Classic, the National Reigners Breeders' Classic. And in his second show, again competing with very experienced horses, this is his second time competing, he becomes reserve champion. He just blew me away. I can't tell you how excited I was when I was sitting in those stands watching Titan compete. It was amazing. And that's when I made the call to Clinton, and that's when we started making our deal. In the reining industry, Titan being out of Gunner represents the next generation of champions that are going to continue the Gunner legacy. That's why he's really important to the industry. I made a special effort to continue the Gunner legacy. We had one horse that we trained that was by Gunner and became a champion. One of the highest money earning horses in the National Reining Horse Association, earned over $352,000 in the show pen. His name is Tinker with Guns, and he's by Gunner out of a mare that was by the great $1 million sire Reminick. Then I found another Gunner. I fell in love with him when I saw him compete in the World Equestrian Games. His name is H.F. Mobster. And I bought him to continue the Gunner legacy.
Titan is really important to the reining industry because I feel like he's the combination of the last 50 years of genetics that have gone into reining, okay? Reining horses now, the ones that are really winning, are explosive horses that can stop and turn and run fast and extremely physical. That's one half of it, very important. But reining's got so precise now that those horses have to be cool, calm, and collected doing it. They can't be running around nervous with their head up in the air. They can't be gapping their mouth and switching their tail. They've got to have a brilliant mind. So Titan, on one hand, is the phenomenal athlete. But to match it, he's got the mind, the trainability, and the quietness and gentleness to be able to take all that pressure and not have it upset him, not get him nervous and wound up. So those genetics with the shining spark on the bottom side and the Gunner on the top side, you join them two together, it's pretty much unbeatable at this point. And not to mention the color factor. You know what I mean? Some people like horses with white on them and some don't, okay? But to me, the majority of the world loves horses what we call chrome on them. White faces, white legs. They got that pizzazz. When they walk into the arena, they grab the judge's attention. So with his color, you know, he's bound to produce quite a few horses with some interesting white markings. So he's got the ability, he's got the mind, he's got the trainability. Now he's just got to be able to breed enough mares and get those babies out there performing and show them what they can do. Well guys, there you have it, Silver Spurs. You know now why I partnered with Michael Maola and brought Titan here to this phenomenal stallion station, okay? Remember, every great horse has teammates around it. It's kind of like a race car driver. He might win the race, but believe me, there's a whole crew of people that went behind him that made that possible. The guy that builds the car, the guy that does the tires, the guy that pays for it all. You know, there's a whole team of people. Titan is now surrounded by a team of people that believe in him and are going to make sure they give him every opportunity to be the sire I truly believe he can be. I told you years ago that this was a special horse. A lot of people didn't believe me, and he went out there and just kicked everybody's ass. I told everybody, this is once in a lifetime kind of horse. This is special. I still believe it. This horse is going to do some amazing things in the breeding barn, and I know Michael believes it as well.
Titan is so marvelous for Silver Spurs for several reasons. Down Under Horsemanship in Clinton Anderson is the most successful organization to teach people how to train their horse. And through Clinton's constant clinics, actually having people there to show them how it's done, having people at his ranch to show them how it's done, has just been absolutely marvelous for the equine industry. I just love what he's done. He's one of the champions of the industry. Silver Spurs is the champion in the breeding industry. Now, I've watched Titan ever since he was a little colt and watched Clinton train him, mostly through his tapes and his TV shows, but I've been down to see him a few times. But like I said, when I saw him compete at the Cactus Classic, I just knew he was something special. So here is Down Under Horsemanship and Silver Spurs complementing each other to manage the show career and breeding career of Titan. I think it'll be something that is totally unmatched in the industry.